level with me. Are these truly the ultimate D&D do and don'ts? Try saying that 5 times as fast. Hello and welcome to Level With Me, the YouTube channel we can level up our TTRPG experience together. My name is Will, and today we're going to be looking at a video uploaded by Deficiency Master last month, titled The 10 D&D Commandments. Now, I'm still a relatively new D&D player comparative to the rest of the community, so are these the 10 standards I should hold myself to while playing D&D? Should I live and die by them, if I have a mean GM, while I'm sat at the table? That's what we're going to be talking about today. However, before we jump into the video, this table works on shared XP, so any tips, tricks, or thoughts on the subject, leave them down in the comments to dish out some XP to the rest of the players in our community, and I'll be sure to read them. Let's jump into 10 D&D Commandments.
These are the 10 deficient commandments of dungeon mastering for D&D and other tabletop RPGs. And while these commandments are not the one true way, they are my true way that I have learned over the years.
Okay, so these aren't like, these are his D&D commandments. Also, by the way, I love how Deficiency Master edits their videos. I love this top-down perspective, hands-only, props on table. I love it. It's so simple but so effective. Anyway, so these are his commandments, not the generalized commandments.
Years in games. So perhaps some of these will benefit your own games, as they have for mine. In no particular order.
Thou shalt keep thy game.
Oh god,
Pacing,
yes.
Pacing. I'm a bit obsessed over it, both for my own videos and for my RPGs. I am but a finite creature on this mortal plane, and I want to spend it playing pretend with dice. That means I need to know the core rules of my game system to use as a foundation for both me and my players, while also being confident in myself to make rulings when the players do things that there's not a rule for. And while it might help to stop the game and look up how many miles a horse pulling a carriage can travel through a mountain hex while it's raining, that doesn't help me
Keep thy game moving.
This also means learning how to control time. Whether that's when to start a scene, when to end a scene, and when to provide pressure on the players by creating an in-game timer. This is learned through good old-fashioned experience, and by asking yourself constantly that, what can I do in this moment to
Keep thy game moving.
I fully agree with this one. I can't stand it. I can't stand it when we're not doing something. Yes, I appreciate there's going to be a load of downtime in Dungeons & Dragons, like, oh, mess around at the tavern, but if we're literally doing nothing and there's no hook, then as a DM, I am creating something weirdly interesting. If they want to talk to NPCs, then there's going to be one NPC that goes, oh, did you hear about the ruins? Apparently they're being raided tonight, but didn't hear that from me. And skulks into the bloody shadows. But as a player, I'm also like, if we're not doing anything, I'm going to do something chaotic to create a scene for us to roleplay in. If you have to check a rule, table decision. The eyes have it kind of vibe. Just keep the game going. Honestly, it's my one pet peeve when a game just stops still.
Thou shalt make thy players feel important.
We can make players feel important not
Yes.
by catering to their every whim or by never letting them fail. We make players feel important by focusing on the aspects of the game they are focused on. This actually makes my game prep easier because I don't stress about preparing every part of the game world, because I prep using a frustum culling method, which is a rendering method used by many video games to decrease the amount of resources that have to load outside of the player's vision.
Okay,
I, too,
okay.
have a limited time and processing power. So my efforts go towards what the players are looking at in my games.
Yep.
If my wizard wants to craft magical rings, for example, I don't spend my time inventing cooking mechanics. I'm going to use my prep time making roll tables for types of gems or jewelry that they can find, and by creating adventures and rewards that lead my wizard towards achieving their wants.
Don't look, it's an advert. I don't get money for this. Don't look. Don't look. Okay. Again, I agree. However, I think there should be a wider scope on this. Ironically, there should be a wider scope on this. Making your players feel important is a definite. You have to. Not all the players are going to be in the limelight all the time. What Deficiency Master is talking about is if they want to focus on one thing, then cool, in your spare time where you're setting up the game, go and design that thing. So like, oh, you've now got an impact on the world. In game, however, it is also important to make your players feel important. If there's a split party for some reason and there's one group that's like going gung-ho right into the fray, and then there's one doing like recon, cool, use that. The recon party can see that reinforcements are coming over the hill. Great, now they have a task to either stop or deflect or distract the reinforcements from coming over. In game, it's also important to make your players feel seen, and it's not just... Admittedly, some players do like to just sit back and they like to watch the story unfold. However, in my mind, I'm like, you're here with your mates, come to play a game, let's get you to roll some dice. Like, it might not be anything like death-defying to roll for, but I give your players something to do. They've taken 3 hours out of their night to come and play. Give them something to do, whether it's small or little, make them feel important in that way as well.
Thou shalt learn from other game systems from the lava.
Pathfinder fixes this. But for real, the best examples I've seen of game philosophy, adventure design, and unique mechanics to steal from my own campaigns came not from the mainstream billion-dollar company, but from the little guys and gals creating their own passion projects. Especially when it comes to examples of adventure design. If your idea of a top-tier pre-made adventure to learn from is Icewind Dale or Curse of Strahd, you haven't seen nothing until you experience what an adventure written for actual use at the table looks like. Such as these, or Pirate Borg's upcoming Down Among the Dead, the sponsor for this video. When I met Luke Stratton at Gen Con after posting my deficient review of Scallywags and Pirate Borg, it was an easy yes for me to shout out Pirate Borg's Kickstarter, Down Among the Dead, containing 3 pirate-themed adventures and even more GM tools for pirate-themed campaigns. There's so much stuff offered here. This is the pirate game I wish I had back when the 3 Pirates of the Caribbean movies were my entire personality.
Like I said at the top of the video, I'm a new, not just D&D player, a new TTRPG player. I've not had the chance to explore game systems yet, but I am really, really intrigued. I'd love to play a Call of Cthulhu campaign. I've heard Dungeons and Daddies do it on their 3rd season, and I don't think I'd like to run it because I am the least spooky person ever. So what I find scary, the bar is really low, so I don't think I could run a Call of Cthulhu game. However, I'd love to play part of it. I think the way you build your character in it is so much more interesting than rolling 4 d6s and taking away 1. But I can't really comment on this, sadly. I want to play more games. However, my local game store won't get back to me about running and playing in games. It's really aggravating. But yeah, I agree. Look, don't just use the rule books from D&D. Use other ones as well. If you find something interesting, why not implement it into your games? Why not?
Thou shalt steal everything.
The reason I love exploring other game systems is because it's a trove of material and ideas my 5e-pilled players will never suspect. When you steal from enough sources, you start looking original. I love creating OC as much as the average r/D&D post, but sometimes when the creative juice is low and the game's in an hour, the manner the players are going to explore today is going to look a lot like Lady Boyle's Last Party from the 2012 Arcane Immersive Sim Dishonored 1. Is that showing my age? Fortnite!
Thou shalt
Sorry, just appreciate Fortnite. Oh, I don't know, that joke was a bit sus, my guy. I actually agree with this. Again, newer D&D player, newer D&D DM, but there's only so much you can do with a D&D system and storylines that people go, oh, okay, right, well, this is probably going to be the answer then, because when I did play at my local game store, it was a murder mystery, and I guessed the ending right away. I was like, this is so cliche. So steal other plot lines, steal puzzles from Resident Evil games and stuff like that. If you could implement it well and cover it up well, that's not a word. Cover up better than you implement it. That could be very, very useful for a DM. I'm not saying, to steal it word for word, but take inspiration from other medias. I agree with that to some level.
Thou shalt be fair and impartial.
I am not my players. I am all 5 of their senses. I am the world. The sea and the stars and all that lies beneath and between are at my command. Yet I am not God, nor a storyteller. I am a referee. I calls them as I sees them. You may argue my calling, but I have the final say. I am a cheerleader for my players. I celebrate their successes, and I grieve with them in their failures. I often explain my reasoning for what I'm doing or why this particular thing is happening. I expose the mechanics and prep I use, should they ask, but I must treat the world as if it was real, as if it doesn't know the players are the heroes, because then the players can show my world that they are the heroes, or that they're just murder hobos.
I absolutely agree. I always want the best for the people at the table, whether I am a player or a dungeon master. I always want everyone to succeed. It's in my nature. I want the teamwork to make the dream work. But if someone's being an absolute knobhead, it's also in my nature to call someone a knobhead. So if a player were to do something outlandish, shank a guard, there's going to be repercussions. I'm not going to let you just, persuade your way out of this.
Editing Will here. Remember when I said that if the game stops moving, I'll do something outlandish? Yeah, I fully expect repercussions for my actions. I'm just trying to make something happen, so I expect the same as a player if I do something stupid.
You literally offed someone in the middle of the street in broad daylight. There is no realm you can talk yourself out of this. There are so many witnesses. So being fair and impartial is key to a successful D&D game. It's within reason. Yes, like I say, your players are the heroes, but I'm not gonna let you win D&D just because of that fact that is known in the real world, but in the fantasy world, like I say, no one knows you from Adam. You can't just get away with it.
Soldier, did you apprehend the murder suspect?
Nah, Chief, I don't think he did it.
But there were 15 witnesses to the crime.
You're nat 20 deception.
What?
You can't keep getting away with it!
Thou shalt honor thy dice and thy prep.
Yes.
Part of being fair and impartial means having the foundation of rules you yourself must adhere to. I am 2 sides to my game mastering, based on if I'm prepping the game or if I'm running the game.
Lovely
when
handwriting.
I consider the players and their characters' level and abilities, but I don't pull out the challenge rating calculators. I place in my world what makes sense. But when I take that prep to the table, I go back to being the referee. If prep me put 6 skeletons in this tomb, ref me isn't going to add or remove skeletons based on how the players feel in this moment. Same goes with dice rolls. I roll everything in front of my group. This shows that I am not trying to manipulate the player's experience. Their success and failures are on them and their choices, not because you got me to feel sorry for you or because I want to see you struggle.
Okay. I have a counter argument against this. However, it does relate to players being available. It was during the second to last session of the short campaign that I ran. It was like a 13, 14 session campaign. And people couldn't make it to the penultimate session. So I had planned all this stuff. And then the group got halved. I was like, well, it's like the penultimate one. And I'm literally I was leaving London in a few weeks after that. So I had no time to reschedule a game. So I had to run it. So I was there and go, oh no, I can't come. Okay, right, knock some HP off that enemy. Oh no, I can't come. Okay, right, let's take away 2 archers so there's less enemies. To a degree, I disagree. I fully believe that you should honor the dice rolls. I think a natural 1 is a lot more interesting than a natural 20. That's a video in itself. Because it drives the story forward and it gets people thinking. However, I don't roll in front of my players. I'm not going to fudge rolls. Unless the game is going backwards, not moving, and it's getting stale, maybe I'll fudge a dice roll just to add some drama or something like that. But if it's a nat 1 or a nat 20, I pull up my DM screen and go, nat 20, nat 1, I buggered that up. But the prep is going to change because people's circumstances are different. Okay, if you're building a character sheet for someone, I built, like, it was one of the barbarians, like, head guard. I didn't decrease their level. I still wanted them to have all of these tactics that they could pull out to see how the players responded. However, I did decrease their HP. I didn't decrease the armor class, I decreased their HP. Only do one or the other. Let your prep change. Sometimes there are reasons to change your prep. However, what happens at the table, happens at the table. You can be flying by the seat of your pants, but that's how D&D should be played.
Thou shalt let thy players' actions change thy...
Yes!
The reason
Yes!
I call myself a storyteller is because I have no true control of the story in my games. The minute I ask the players, what do you do? I have given away my power to narrate what happens.
Yep.
I could prep this perfect story with interesting NPCs, dazzling locations, and epic twists that they never see coming, only for them to kill my darlings, burn my set pieces, and ignore hours of content I've tailor-made for them. They have fun, while I sit here feeling bitter and burned out. That doesn't mean I don't design interesting things happening in my game world. I only design up until the point my players enter the scene. I have loose ideas, but they're tossed the moment the players interact with them. And then after the session, I consider how would my world naturally react to what my players did. That's where I find my fun, by being surprised where the players and the dice take my world. Let the players mess up your perfect little creation.
Yeah.
Because it's no longer just your creation when you ask them, what do you do?
Definitely. Definitely. I think it's an XP level 3 video where if you don't let your players change the story, just write a book. There was one session where my players kind of took a guard hostage, and the guard was like, yo, I just need to get back to my hometown. If you can escort me across the region, then I'll let you go. I just need to get back to my daughter. And the player's like, yeah, that's cool. You got to get us through the guard post into this town so we can get some supplies. Then we're going to head over. What I didn't predict was, one, they took a hostage. I thought they were just going to kill the guard straight off. Never assume your players are going to do something. It's a whole different point. But then, when they got to, like, the outpost of the town and, like, the guard towers, they were hidden in, like, some trees and foliage, scouting it out. And they went to this officer, this guard who they took in hostage, and went, swap clothes with me. So they swapped clothes, and this officer now walked up to the guard post and kind of handed in this now civilian as, I caught this guy stealing. He's a bad man. Take him to jail. Oh, you can trust me. I'm a guard. And I was like, what have you done to my NPC? You've just sent an innocent man to prison. So they sent him to prison. And of course, this man was a soldier. He has the documentation. So they let him go within 2 days. However, 4 or 5 sessions down the line, they arrive in this NPC's hometown where his welcome home party is going to be happening. And they kind of like bumble into this party and it's like, oh, hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? Yeah, we saved the lake. We took down that monster. You are welcome. Then the NPC that they sent to prison walks into his party and goes, these guys aren't who they say they are. They are bad people who sent me to prison. Boom, fight. Their actions had consequences and they didn't expect it. Hands down, your players make a decision, roll with it, because you can bring it back up as the DM. You can bring it back up and go, you mess with my story, I'm messing with your plans now. Well done, your actions have consequences, Chief.
Thou shalt not remove thy player's agency.
Yeah.
I do not tell players how their character feels. I do not tell them if their character's actions are right or wrong. I will tell them if the player's actions are right or wrong, in context with the table dynamics and what we established in Session 0. But I do not force the characters to make a decision because it's the correct choice, or it's the choice I planned for.
Yes. So there was one time I played D&D at my local game store once or 2 or 3 times now. And there was one time, it was the murder mystery. That I said was really cliche. There was 2 goblins aboard this airship, and one of them had been killed, along with like someone else. And it was like, oh crap, this is like narrowing down the suspects. And we as the players went, okay, we need to go talk to the other goblin, find out what this what his mate was doing, why he was in the dining hall at this time talking to this other person, and how why they would have both ended up dead. And the DM went, "Oh no, turns out the other goblin is dead too now," and he just moved the goblin piece into the dining hall, laid it down. It's like, oh, so we don't get to do, you had chance for storytelling there, and you went, no, the story's changed now. If they want to do something, come up with it. That's the skill of a good DM. And maybe it's because I'm an ex-performer and I like to think on the fly, and that's kind of, I love improv shows. I'm confident in my storytelling to make something up. Give me a beat to think and I'll come up with something. But if my players want to do something, I let them do it. I just let them do it and go, well, now it's on me. This is my job. Their job is to help tell the story. My job is to react. However, at one point he did say, it's like, I won't tell my players how they feel. I agree to a point. When I'm describing an environment, because of the players who, come from different backgrounds, and like the players, then their characters also come from different backgrounds, I like to offer up some suggestions. Like, oh, maybe you feel like the wind chill down your back and it kind of sends shudders through your body with fear of what you're walking into. Or it might make you feel like you have to brace yourself, big yourself up with it. Big yourself up, man. Big yourself up every day, because you're going to be possibly walking into a fight. Courage fills your chest and you're ready for the final showdown or something. I like to offer up suggestions, and I go, wizard, you are scared, so you're going to be rolling with disadvantage. No. Offer them suggestions, because then the players can react to that themselves. Be like, oh, okay, so maybe I am feeling a little bit. I think I would feel a little bit. Well, I'm going into fight, I need to bolster myself up. So I grip my greatsword a little bit tighter. Offer your players suggestions, but don't tell them how they feel. So I agree to a point with this one when it comes to the emotional side.
Thou shalt use thy best ideas now.
There are only so many game sessions I'll be able to run with this specific group of players and friends. I don't ever want to create filler adventures for the sake of waiting for the players to reach a certain level or, God forbid, the right moment in their character arc before the real game begins. If I read an adventure or come up with an idea that inspires me, I try to find a way to get that into the next game, if possible. Because if you're excited to present something in your game, players tend to be drawn towards what you're passionate to show them.
Yeah. There's no point creating some kind of fluff that your players can like, okay, I'm just got to get through this, and then maybe the next session something will pop off. Have at least a good idea for each session. Not, you found some bandits have raided this cart. Please go and retrieve the groceries. Wait, it's not just groceries. It's an amulet of speak with the undead. That's right, a necromancer hidden this in the cart, and he's wanted to revive his dead wife, but needs to know how. What happened to her and who he should seek revenge on. Bang! Story. Not just go and beat some bandits, and we'll reconvene next session, people. No. Use your best ideas. I just come up with that on the fly. There's something there. I'm not going to say it's like a full-ass story now. Like it could take 3 sessions. But if that's a little 4-hour session in an evening, that could be a one-shot. If you have ideas, use them. Use them and adjust them to where your players are in the moment and where they are in their character arc, or geographically where they are. Use your ideas. Go. Be creative. Succeed. Win.
Thou shalt remember to have fun.
At the end of day, no matter if you disagree with either some or even all of these commandments, your fun is valid, you play however you want. The litmus test of being a good game master is, did you have fun? You're doing this because you enjoy it yourself, right? And if not, maybe you need to change the game you're playing, or change the campaign, or even change the players. Maybe you might have to change a few commandments too.
Yep, I agree. If you're not having fun while you're playing the game, generally, as a DM, you need to make sure that you are having fun. You need to make sure that you are being challenged and that you can be creative in the moment and you can excel in what you are passionate about doing. And hopefully that comes across to your players. As a DM, If they don't think you're having fun, they're not going to have fun. Keep it fun, keep it fresh, keep it funky. What? Yep, yep. Quote me on that. So those are Deficiency Master's 10 D&D Commandments. I agree with the vast majority of them. However, I think this is only an 8-minute video, 9-minute video. He could have gone into depth a little bit more, but I appreciate audience retention. You gotta play the game, people. Keep it moving, like you said at the start. Keep it moving. I agree with the majority of them, but there are some points he could have gone into more in depth with. Any tips, tricks, or thoughts on this subject, leave them in the comments below to dish out some XP to the people in our community, and I'll be sure to read them myself to give myself a few experience points. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next session.